All right, well, let's start the show then. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode 110 of the Get Reelisms podcast. I am Adam Chase Rani.
And I'm Christine Chen, and we have a special guest. So I just knew. So I've always known you as Leighton, because, but you say you go by Ty in the Austin film industry, just film industry in general.
Yeah, it's more like just as an actor,
Yeah.
But everything else is just pretty much I funnel into Leighton.
Easier to say, or
there was a casting director when I first started, and I helped her with an audition set. Karen Hallford is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And I just straight up asked her. I let it be her decision. I said, which one do you think is better for my name? Do I go with my first name, Leighton, or do I go with my middle name, Ty?
Yeah.
She said she liked Ty. So
cool.
Yeah, pretty uncomplicated.
Yeah. I always wondered about names of branding are so important, I think, in the industry. I quite like mine. I don't know. My parents didn't realize they gave me like the perfect, I think, filmmaker name. It's got the alliteration, Christine Chen, and CC, so it's easy to pronounce and everything. So good job, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
They set you up without knowing.
Without knowing. No, without knowing.
Yeah.
I've thought about a lot of it. Like, it's actually really strong filmmaker name. Yeah. So,
It's a good marketing name.
Very good marketing name. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and like how long have you been in the industry and just like what do you do, all that jazz.
Okay. Well, I'm a native Texan, so I'm from about an hour north of Austin. Killeen, Temple, Belton, that area. And I hit 19 years old, and I'd known since I was in fourth grade I wanted to be an actor. And so it was just, all right, I'm 19. It was almost like this weird, instinctual, animalistic, I'm leaving the nest. Mm-hmm. I'm going out. I'm ready to build my own, get my own thing going. And so I came to Austin because the film scene in 2013 was moving pretty good. And I realized if I wanted to get better as an actor, I needed to take classes. I needed to be kind of accessible to the rest of the community. And so I've been doing this for 11 years. I've been in one acting class a week for the last 10 plus years minimum. I take it very seriously. For me, it's all about the craft. And it's really cliche to say, but it's really the thing that keeps me going.
Yeah.
And then, along the way, I just started becoming a jack of all trades behind camera. I learned how to do everything just so that, when opportunity is scarce, you don't wait for more opportunity. You just have to go out and create it yourself. And that's pretty much been my journey. I've had some cool ups, some cool downs. You learn the most in the downs.
Yeah. I think you hit it on the nail. I think it's like you got to create your own opportunity. I think it's been a big theme in a lot of our talks with various people that I feel like are considered successful in this industry. Since you've always known, did your parents know as well? Was it like public, or was it something that you kind of like kept on the DL because your parents were? I don't know. How supportive is your family of what you do?
So my dad, it took him a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if he fully supports it. Just because he's more traditionalist, conservative, and everything that he has, he's really developed through like hard work and grit. And I appreciate that because you definitely need that. And then my mom always wanted me to be a writer. My mom and my mom's side of the family always thought I was a writer because I would write short stories and all that. And so, but my mom has always been really supportive no matter what I decided to do, especially anything like creative oriented. But the reason I wanted to be an actor was because my stepdad, he was from LA. And so I feel like I got to see all the cool pop cultural films that I would have never gotten to see if my family in Central Texas, if it were up to them. So I became a huge Chris Tucker fan. He was my first favorite actor. And Chris Tucker is the reason I wanted to be an actor.
Really?
Yeah, I love Chris Tucker. I'll watch anything with Chris Tucker.
So you watch Friday and
Yeah,
and
and
all those films.
I
Money
own the Money
Talks.
Talks. Yeah,
Yeah.
and through them, I discovered Ludacris. So
Oh,
Ludacris is my
Of
karaoke
course.
song with area codes because he's on the Rush Hour soundtrack.
oh
Yes, that's right.
man.
Oh man, so I was a weird little 8-year-old kid, you know, but Chris Tucker was definitely my hero. I wanted to be like Chris Tucker.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you remember what your first role was ever?
Yes, I think I was in 3rd grade and I was a donkey,
Oh man.
and but I was a wise donkey. That was the thing. I was a wise donkey, and I
Okay.
actually had like a hefty monologue, and I just
Oh.
remember taking it so seriously. Actually, I hadn't even remembered until you just asked me that, but I was the donkey, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
What do
did?
you love the most about what was there a movie? Was there a moment when you're like, this is what I want to do? Like what was that moment?
I think it was a combination between Rush Hour and Money Talks.
Okay.
But when I matured and like now I look at the movies, I want to do like from where I'm at. So I'm hugely influenced now by James Dean, Paul Newman, and then I'm such a huge Brad Pitt fan.
Mm-hmm.
And everything Brad Pitt gets, he said he gets from Mickey Rourke. So I like to adopt that old school all progress is built on the shoulders of giants mentality. It's like if you want to create art, if you want to move the art form forward, you have to go back and you have to know where it started to know where you are now.
Yeah.
And you see it with like writers like T.S. Eliot. You see it with Picasso.
Yeah.
He went and mastered every great era before he came back. And I heard somebody articulate this the other day, and it made sense. But once you get all those influences under your belt, then you're able to kind of allow your own voice and your personality to kind of come to the forefront, to where those influences become like almost unconscious. So I'm a huge believer that your art quality is it's made in what you consume. And so I try to only consume like high quality cinema. I try to, it's just I take it really kind of obsessively serious. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that you're saying that. So you're now going back, because I find myself doing that too. I was not very film educated, and it was very much like what was playing in that moment. And I think it is hard to, when you start to really dive in, it's hard not to be connected to the past, because those directors are influenced by past films and everything, and then you start digging and stuff like that. So that's super cool to hear that. How has the Texas film industry been since it's very rare to meet someone who's native and I've been in Texas for so long and probably seen all the ups and downs of the industry. How has it grown, changed? How do you see it going?
Oh, it's grown, and I think it's also like based on where I was at the moment when I started, but it's such a small community here in Austin that's one of my favorite things, is that like I told my friend this the other day because he sent me a casting link, like a best friend, not even in the film industry, and it was from somebody who I knew who was casting, but he had met her at a rave. And then I messaged her and I was like, oh, Philip sent me that. And she was like, small world. I'm like, yeah, because either you work with somebody I know, you meet somebody who has worked with me, or you meet somebody who's at least heard of me. And that's because the community is so small, everything just travels so fast. I think the community has been going through a series of like waves. Like 2012, 2013, it was super strong. We had all those shows filming. I think we had 110 million in film incentives, and then it dropped to 30, and then it went back up to 92. But now I'm really happy to see that we're in talks to really get some real money back, because we get $5 for every dollar we give in tax exemption. So you're making $5 on the dollar. It just, for me, like, even if you don't care for politics, like, money should be an absolute. Like, we need it for the economy. There's a certain amount of local Texas filmmakers that have to be brought on board in order for the film incentives to even be eligible. I mean,
Right.
the local businesses, the hospitality industry, the restaurant industry. I mean, everybody, not just actors or entertainment, are so heavily affected by something like this. And I can only see positive for it. But right now, I'm excited to see all these studios being made up all around Austin. It's kind of like reading the clouds, when a rainstorm's coming. I see the storm coming and I'm just waiting for the rain.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah. I met up with Mindy Benson was on my past set, and she was saying that a lot of incentives have come through, and there's like several million are coming in for the tax incentives and stuff. So that's always super exciting, because it's always
that is
fun
exciting.
to see.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just a lot of, it's neat because Austin is such a cool place to be, and it's much easier to get talent to come and be like, hey, spend a month in Austin versus like spend a month in Oklahoma, So some people are willing to come chill and be like, yeah, I'll come back. Like I will, for example. I'm happy to always come back and take a project here in Austin, Texas, because it's like, oh, I'm going to come see my friends, and Austin's fun and all sorts of stuff like that. So I guess I feel, in my opinion, that acting is one of the most up and down roles in the industry, because there's so many things that are out of your control when it comes to casting. So how have you been able to, I guess, overcome that? Or if you had any advice for actors out there who are struggling, what would you say?
So I'm going to give an analogy, especially for the actor out there that might be watching this. When you go to the gym and you first start lifting weights, you really don't know what you're doing, but you feel sore. That's progress. Just being in the gym is progress. But you're going to get to a point to where all of your gains become extremely limited. And the only way to push them forward is by altering techniques. It's really just the adaptability. And so the more you do it, the more you kind of start developing a deeper awareness. And I feel like it's a formula that it's not going to be perfect. Give up on the perfection. It's just not going to happen. But what you do is you take a step, and then the next step will make itself visible. And so if you get into that mindset of, what can I do now? All right, I can do this. Once you do that, you'll be surprised at whatever opportunity opens up. I've recently started a content strategy on Instagram, just posting, and I stole it from some other actors I've seen on Instagram that have hundreds of thousands of followers, just posting moments, like tropes, character tropes, moments. And to me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, this is just like a social media version of a demo tape for an actor, because a casting director can come through, not even spend all that much time, and, oh, look, there's the troubled guy with the bad past, or, oh, look, this is the bad romantic. Like, they see that, and it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see the actor in that role. So it's, maybe that works, maybe it doesn't, but I like to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. Like, I think that's the science. That's when it comes to like martial arts or boxing or like lifting weights, that's my favorite thing about those art forms, is it's a constant science of adjustment. And to me, I think that's where the fun is, the process is. So if you're going to be an actor, don't wait for anybody to give you anything. Go grab a monologue and start figuring out how to make it work. There's sites there's Facebook groups where you can post your monologue and get feedback from casting directors and talent managers. There's so much utility right now with the internet, and it's just a matter of how you decide to use it. Like right now, I'm working on a monologue from Hustler, just on my own time, just because, I want to, it just takes so much time and thoughtfulness to really figure out like what your process is, what your approach is. And I think ultimately that'll give you more confidence, and the more confidence you have, the easier it's going to be for you to show up on tape or in the casting room and just do you, because otherwise you're going to get stuck in this trap of people pleasing and trying to do what is wanted. And I don't think there's a bigger turnoff. I think anybody, no matter what industry, they sense that desperate neediness to be liked or loved or whatever it is. And it kind of just dilutes, that original recipe that's you.
I can't agree more. And it shows up in so many forms. I experienced it the most when I changed my mindset, raising funding for Urzuli. It's starting off with I liken it to dating. So starting off being like, they're the one, because they check off all these boxes and all that stuff. And then, but they could sense the desperation and everything. And then the more they can do that, the faster they run. And then when I was like, you know what, fuck it. Here's my pitch. You either like it or you don't like it. And I have 5 more people to pitch to, And once I changed it to that mentality, then I wasn't people pleasing anymore. And I was just like, this is the facts, this is what it is, everything, take it or leave it. And I think just that in the practice and getting that muscle memory and stuff, like you just come off as a completely different, more confident, sure version of it. And it's continued to show up for me, whether I'm directing or first dating. Nothing is more power than when you like. I don't like to use this word, you don't care. It's more like it's a detachment to the expected results, because it's the reality is we cannot predict the future, right?
Yeah.
So if we spend our time obsessing over what could have been, what might be, or whatever, like you're going to lose some sort of fundamental part of what makes you special. Stuff like that. So I fully agree with what you're saying. Just put your best foot forward. I would say, you tried your best. Did you try your best? That's all you can do. The best is all you can do. And then the rest is up to whatever.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And I think that's such a great lesson. And I think that some of the most successful actors that I've seen often became successful because they weren't getting booked for stuff they wanted to. So they started to create their own content. They started to cast themselves in things that they want to be in. And then because they were doing that, people saw that they were productive, or they were always working, or they saw them in a role that they'll never envision that for them, because it took people. And then they're like, I didn't know that it could be a series, that whatever it is, just because of that stuff. And I from a directing standpoint, I cast a lot, and I can say that that's happened for me as well, where on a certain actor because they're so good at the role. The one day, I don't know, they are on some short that they did themselves, or they casted themselves in some sort of grungy role, and I'm like, whoa, never thought that person can do that, and been like cast them or whatever. So it's just, we're, as human beings, we can't help but compartmentalize. That's just how we process information, I think. And that's why people get typecast. Why until sometimes it's just people of stronger imagination. So sometimes you have to do it and show that you can. So that's cool. From your standpoint, do you have because this is a back of what have you being an actor of who your favorite directors are to work with, or casting directors, or what do you think, how do you think things can improve in
You said how things can improve. I kind of lost you.
Or like who, or if you want to just give a concrete example of, like, without naming names, all this stuff, like what are your favorite, how are your favorite directors? How are they, or what are your favorite projects and why?
Okay, so I did this feature, my first lead project in Houston, 10-day shoot. And the project never got made. The guy was in over his head. It was his first project. He did a master class. He had a good script. I was actually really impressed with the script, but he wanted to tell me how to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment where there's a fantastic actor named Brian Shorkley. Him and I had a scene, and I came up to him and I said, listen, what I'm about to do is not in the script, but it's just something that I feel is going to come out. So just get ready for that. And, the character this whole time in the script has just been like kind of mopey and troubled. But in this scene, I felt like the character wanted to lash out. There was a lot of rage. And so I went to do that. And halfway through the take, the director says, cut, we don't need any of that. All right, set up next. And it frustrated me because even if you're not going to use it, that is going to help me evolve the character.
Right.
So it's like, give me a chance to have the freedom to play and to make these choices, because you don't know, I don't know, he doesn't know which moments, what they don't know what type of perfect moment could appear out of the residue of whatever we're doing. Like, some of the most brilliant cinematic moments of all time are in accidents. Why is that? It's because you're going moment to moment to moment. And if you can just thread those moments, eventually you're going to find yourself in something really special. And that's something that a lot of actors struggle with, because they want to figure out how to do every scene. They want to figure out, all right, on this line, I do this, I make this facial expression. You can't. As an actor, you just can't do that. You have to do the work. And as my mentor would say, you just crumple it up and throw it away and let go of everything that you thought how the scene's supposed to go, because you don't know how the scene's supposed to go, and I'm of the mindset, I always get joked about this, but I do every time I do a scene, I always do it different. I feel bad for the editors, but
no, I can say from a directing standpoint that that's what we want, because you want to have choices, right? And you can, like you said, you can string together 3 different takes to create the ultimate perfect arc if you wanted to, so having the subtlety of different takes gives the editor, the directors, more to work with, in my opinion. I think there's a misconception that, if you get 3 takes, you're doing it 3 same way, but like you messed up a word or something. And it's not that. I think the best actors are the ones who are like, I'll give you 3, and they're 3 just slightly different, something different for you to play with. And I agree. From a directing standpoint, I appreciate when actors are do that, and I can tell when actors have done their homework, because they'll point out things within a script or whatever where they'll say, like, I wouldn't say that, and it's fun to have those conversations, because that's why you cast certain people. It's so that they can go in and delve into a psychological wormhole where they become and live and breathe that character to the point that they understand it oftentimes more than the director or more than the writer. And so having those conversations is very fun for a director who appreciates that. One of the best actresses I continue to work with, Diana Rose. That was
Diana.
Yeah, I
Friend of the
always
show.
talk. Yeah, I always talk about her because she has been with me while I'm still growing as a director, but like really early stages in directing. And I always remember the moment, it was in Yaobi, when she pushed back and said, like, I don't think it doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. She wouldn't do this. And then I took the moment to be like, well, why? Like, what do you think you would do instead. And she came up with something that it was not how it was written, but it was perfect. It was exactly how it should be. So is it, I don't know if you've seen Yalby or not. It's probably been a while, but it's a subtle thing. And it's because she is more in tune with the Muslim culture than I could ever be. And she was speaking from that. Like, she's like, as a Muslim woman, I would literally never be in the same room with another guy by myself. Like, it was like, I was learning. So I don't know. I love being able to do that with an actor and stuff. I think that's when you both mutually learning about each other and the character and the world. And because of that, you're right. It's a moment to moment thing. And it doesn't mean here's another thing that because I AD a lot of directors, and I cannot stand when they're also like, well, we aren't going to rehearse or block anything because it has to be organic. And I hate that, because I feel like the prep is what enables you the time to the flexibility to be able to be organic. Because once you have the basics, you don't have to think about where your body's going to move or whatever. You can now play and explore that. And that's where you earn the right to be organic type thing.
It frees you.
Yes.
And that's a huge distinguishing factor between an amateur actor and a professional actor. Can you make blocking? Can you make the things that you have to do organic?
Yeah.
Right.
Can you set yourself up to do those things? Because that's where the mastery of the craft is. It's in how you set yourself up. And that requires the actor to know who they are as a person, how to know what they think. And I see that's that beautiful, like what you just described, is that beautiful dance of collaboration. Mm-hmm. I worked with a Chinese filmmaker named Bebe.
I know Bebe. Yeah.
I was in her thesis film.
Okay.
And I just, when you know a director that understands what cinema is, and it's that linking of moments to moments, it's such a relief, because you can collaborate, you can do what you want. There was a moment where she had intended for something in the scene to be a lot softer than how I was playing it. Mm-hmm. And at first I was a little resistant, and eventually, like maybe after another take, I was like, all right, let me try doing it this. But the collaboration, I remember walking away from that day thinking that was such a masterclass in collaboration, because sometimes as the actor, you will be right, but ultimately it's the director's vision. And you have to learn how to honor both yourself and what the director is asking out of you.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to the DP, and he was like, it's really crazy how that scene just took a complete 180 and turned. But you could fall into the trap of, well, I'm the actor, I'm the character. This is how I'm going to do it. This is what I'm going to do. And it's like, you got to realize, as an actor, you are the expert on the character, but don't forget whose vision this is supposed to be.
Yeah, totally. I relate to this so much because I have to AD so many directors, and I have to constantly remind different departments about that. I think, especially when you care about your craft so much, it's easy to be completely consumed by it and really narrow-minded because you have an expectation of how you would do it. Mm-hmm. And I've often had to walk different production heads off the ledge, being like, I understand that you don't agree with this decision, but ultimately this is still so-and-so's movie, and this is still their overall, this is their vision. So agree to disagree. And that's part of the beauty of collaboration, is sometimes you will not find a perfect medium at all. Sometimes it is okay, please let me do one for myself, and I'll do what you want, and then let's see what happens in the edit. And I appreciate creatives that do that. I think that's a great way to approach the collaboration process, because I think it is not necessarily realistic to that every great creative relationship is going to be a yes man, perfect, I see eye to eye with you all the time. It's rarely that. I mean, the best relationships are rarely that, right? It's not
Not
the,
with
like,
not with
we
the
don't fight.
centrics.
Exactly. We don't,
Yeah.
we never fight. That's the problem if you never fight, that type of stuff. So because you're trying to get the best out of both worlds. And that means, tug of war until you find something that works. And that's when the magic happens, in my opinion. So it's, I purposely will hire crew that are not afraid to tell me no, are not afraid to be like, I don't believe in what you're saying. This is what I would rather do. And then we have a conversation as adults being like, well, what is it? We term, or it's okay to be like, hey, okay, I'll do it your way. Then respect me to do one my way type thing. And I think if you're a good filmmaker, your weight, I think you won't be afraid of that.
Well, I think it comes to the intention. Like, if an actor comes on set and their intention is, this is my performance, this is my career, this is how I'm going to look, instead of, this is the project, this is the goal that we're all trying to achieve here, this is the vision we're trying to translate. And it just comes down to a misalignment of priorities. Like, you don't come onto a project because you're the greatest thing ever. You come onto a project because you're a utility and an asset to making the project better and getting it to where it wants to go. And you said something twice now that is a cause of a lot of issue with multiple. Usually it seems the issue always comes from expectations of how you think it should be done. This is one of the things that people have to dissemble first, is becoming unattached. And it really takes a certain amount of courage, because you have to accept what is or what might not be. But, even if you have to do something you don't think is going to work, like on Bebe's film, you could be surprised. You don't know. The thing about human perception is you can't see around the corner. You walk half a mile and you'll see a lot more than you were able to see, that half mile back. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. And so have some humility, really figure out, like, why are you being an actor? Why do you want to do this? Because if you're in this because you want to look pretty and you want to be famous, and like, just step out. Like, I'm telling you, you might get lucky like John Krasinski within 2 years and just become a superstar and have no craft under, or you might be like me 11 years in and like, you're still fighting. Like, I have friends that 5 years in, like, they're now in LA with some of the biggest agencies in the nation, working with Robert Downey Jr., J.K. Simmons, Chris Pratt. And like, that can be hard if you're not focused on the process of the craft, but most importantly, who it is you want to be as an individual. Because the most depressed I ever was when I was working the most as an actor. And that came down to me realizing that, I'm just doing these roles because they're available. But what am I speaking? Like, what am I really doing here? Like, are these the roles I want to do? And you have to challenge, you have to challenge your desire for what it is you're doing. Like, does this mean I don't want to be an actor? No, it means you want more creative control. You want more agency in the things you do. You want to be able to speak the words that you feel you were put on earth to speak. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah. It's great. And I think the more you fall in love with the process, the more you appreciate all of the things that make that process possible. And I speak so much from an AD standpoint because I watch so many directors do things that I luckily have learned some good stuff. I've also am learning a lot of what not to do. And
those are the best.
Great. Those are the best, exactly. And I think the directors that I like really learn something from are the ones that appreciate. They don't know everything that happens on a film set. I think that's also unrealistic. But what they need to do is understand their limitations so that they're able to trust the people that they have hired for that specific role and realize why that job or that person is important. The issues I have the most with directors are when they don't seem to appreciate why certain departments are there or why certain people are there, and that everybody is there to try to make that person's vision. But oftentimes to do that, you have to push back. You have to say no. If I were to be like, yeah, you can have every shot that you ever wanted, we 15, 20 hours a day. You know? And so like, or like if there's a time when I have to be like, hey, that stunt, you got 2 times. That's it. Like that's someone's body. Like you can't break that person, you know,
the
that's
entire day. Yeah.
Type thing. And I have to push back, and I have to be a bad guy sometimes. But
yeah,
at the end, it's nice when a director realizes at the end, like, hey, like, thanks for helping us make our day, or like, thanks for pushing back on that, or like, you know, just appreciate like what your purpose is, right? So I think you can feel that from an acting standpoint when a director listens, and you can have that adult mutual conversation of, you know, why you would want to play this, because it's a respect for your craft. It's like, why hire me if you want to hear me out at least, you know?
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a red flag now. I won't work with directors like that. It doesn't matter if they're paying me 1,000 plus, a day. It's just I'm not like I'm a movable mannequin. Go get a mannequin. Anybody can do it. If you want them to do exactly what you want, you can get anybody to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the same boat too.
Yeah.
I think after a while that's what you learn. But you get to, that's when you can really, because in the beginning, yeah, you say yes to everything, right? Just because it's practice and you're not there yet or whatever. But like, I think the beauty of having both of us having worked in the industry for so long is that now you are able to say no, and to make room for the things that you stand for and believe in. And like I at one point was really frustrated. I was like, oh, I don't want to AD anymore. And then I rethought that. I was like, no, it's not that. I just need to be more picky about who I AD for. I want to AD for directors that I can actually learn something from, or who appreciate why I'm there, you know? And I was just tired of directors that would just think that I was there to sabotage their film because I told them they can't do 5 takes on something, you know, or we're not going to make her day or whatever it is. And so I think the best part of your career is when you're able to start, you don't have to say yes to everything. I think when you have the power to do that, you're at a stage in your career that you can make choices about what projects to take and stuff, and you're not purely taking projects for financial surviving. It's nice to be in that ball game. Yeah, to be in that position in your career.
Feeling appreciated is so much of it. Like, just if I feel appreciated on the set, there's nothing I won't do. You know? Yeah. That's just that's something like, just be appreciative. I think like as artists, it's really easy to be like, I have to have everything, because you get so married to this vision in your head, and then like, you start getting scared of, if I lose this moment, then I lose this and this and this, and it's like, listen, trust me, it'll be okay. I don't know how you AD, because that seems like a fine balance between tact and like gentleness, like handling egos, and because a lot.
I tell people I'm a therapist, I'm a counselor, I'm a triage emergency thing. I'm definitely a mom.
Yeah,
A lot
for
of
sure.
kids, stop doing that. Yeah.
Okay, hurry up now. Let's go. Hurry up.
Okay. Yeah, I went to the bathroom. This should have been set up. Yeah, I'm back now. Yeah, a lot of that. But giving room to play and all that stuff. So yeah, it certainly made me a better director, and watching people. And I teach, sometimes I teach a class at Carol Hickey's that's create your own content, and I think it's so important for actors to do it because it gives perspective. Actors, any filmmaker, to do each job at least once, just so just so you know how it feels. Nothing humbles you more when you realize, oh shit, like producing a film is very hard. Maybe I shouldn't complain about what I got for lunch today when I very well know that I signed up for this budget level, or like,
Yeah.
oh, yes, I can't get all the equipment that I want on this list because, well, for whatever reason, because then some other department doesn't get what they need and all sorts of stuff. And I think once you've been in everybody's shoes, or like, I enjoy sometimes showing up here and there in front of the camera. Yeah, it's just hush hush, but it's only because I like to know how it feels. I like to know, like, oh, sometimes it's very hard to tell, like, how to angle your body so that it flat, so it's, or like how to communicate in a clear and concise and easy to understand way. And I think when you're on the other side, that's when you really learn and can be literally in someone else's shoes and just appreciate and it's just an understanding and perspective is I think the biggest thing. How have you done much? I know you act full time, but do you have you dabbled on the other side, the dark side?
Oh yeah. I've worked as script supervisor on 2 projects. One was a feature. The other was like a 10-day. I don't know really. I think it was like an episodic, but he was shooting them to be pretty long. I think it was like a 50,000 plus episode budget. I don't really know what it was. He's an investment banker, really getting into film, like retired. Then what I really love, if I didn't want to be an actor, I'd be a gaffer, because it's just like with painting, you create everything with light, and light is so important. One day I will direct, because I feel like my skill set really allows for that. But also just because I think that's inevitably, as any individual that wants, creative control over project, that's eventually where you have to go. I love cinematography, but I'm not technical with the camera. I understand composition, I understand framing, but sound is the one thing I stay away from. I've boomed, but I don't like, thinking like, what if I didn't record all day?
Yeah, totally.
So I'm out on that one.
Something I stay away from too.
I grip a lot. I PA a lot. I love gripping because when I'm on a film set, it's constant problem solving. It doesn't matter if I'm an actor or behind camera. As a grip, I have control over. What I like to do is I like to find the problem before anybody else can notice it. And I like to fix it before anybody can notice it, because there's so much. It's like going ahead of the road crew and smoothing out the bumps in the road to make sure that the ride just stays nice and steady.
I was about to say, that sounds like art department. It's like you gotta pin that problem before it like picture is up, and then because once picture's up, it's almost like it's too late for when it comes to art. It's like, well, I guess the frame is just going to be slightly off, or like that picture frame in the wall is just going to be slightly off, and that's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. So it is what it is.
Is there a
Yeah.
job, Leighton, that you feel like every actor should attempt at least once because it would make them a better actor?
Every actor should PA, and every actor should grip and carry heavy
Interesting.
stuff. They should
Yeah.
realize, you should learn to develop a respect for the crew and what they're doing and what they contribute, and really drop it. It's not about you. Like, I know you're the actor and the film, revolves around your character, but you are probably the least important individual on the set, and everyone else there is the reason why you can even do what you're doing. So, just have some respect, but most importantly, have some patience. Like, yeah, you might have to wait around a little bit longer, but like, there just needs to be a cultivated attitude of gratitude for what you're doing, and realize that like there's a whole team of people here coming together to make this happen. Like, just understand the team aspect of it. If anything, like, be a grunt, go see what some of these people will get. Some of these people, they'll get back to set, and then the director or whoever runs them off to go grab another errand, and they don't even get to stay on set all day. They're just constantly running back and forth doing the most mundane things you could think of, but without them, there wouldn't be a project.
I can't agree more with that. My favorite, the actors I remember are always the ones that thank the crew, that always are like, hey,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
They're telling another actor who's acting up, like, hey dude, like, chill out, because he's, do you see what they're doing right now? Type thing, or whatever. Like, I appreciate so much the actors that will hell, I know they're not supposed to, but they're like, hey, like, I'm literally walking, like, do you need help carrying that, type thing. Like,
Totally.
I love stuff like that, because it's when there's a respect for everybody's jobs, for the process, for that, for whatever. I think those are the best people in any department, any position to work with. I can't stand when people are mean to the PAs, or but I've PA'd, and there's nothing that your people are above, ever.
Yeah, 100%. Like, give me a broom, I'll do whatever it takes, whatever you need. That's my dad's mentality. If you really want to do, like, if you want to do something, son, you know what? They couldn't tell me no. I'll be on that doorstep every morning they get there, and I'll wait all day and be there again every morning until, they let me come in. Like, I'll sweep the floor, I'll do whatever is needed. And that's I come from the school of guerrilla filmmaking. So we just finished shooting a 55-minute pilot, 45 days of filming, no budget.
Yeah.
Same
passion.
as Christine.
Sounds like what I did for fun employment. Yeah.
We carried, I can't tell you how much equipment we carried into Big Bend and filmed illegally at the crevice. And the crew was under equipped to carry it back. So I've got, 2 50-pound cases in each hand, walking about a couple miles back to camp, and just everybody having to stop every like 100 yards because, they're so miserable.
Yeah, your arms are falling off. Yeah.
And it's like, all right, guys, who needs me to take over? Who needs me to carry stuff? Like, let's do it, because this is that, this is that, what we're doing. And I mean, there have been times where I'm in shorts and it's like 20 degrees out and I'm freezing, but and I'm just sitting there shivering in between takes. Guerrilla filmmaking will teach you whether or not you really want to be in this business, because it's gonna show you some stuff. And but our final project took us 3 years to do, and it looks like $100,000 plus project, shot on Red Zeiss lenses, because the director owned all the equipment. We just didn't have any money to do anything with it, so we just shot it, and half that footage is on my demo now. Like,
hell yeah.
People could have looked at that opportunity, and it did get hard towards the end, to be like, I got to show up again today for this thing. I got to do it, because there is like some type of fatigue that goes on with these projects. But like, don't finish strong, because I'm telling you, people, they will see how you treat them towards the end of the project. I've just from the work ethic I saw and the way that the other talent was handling the process, it's like you've just become disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like, now you're not just disrespecting this project, like you're making it known that you don't believe in the project, and that's not good for anybody's morale.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's
yeah.
grind, like gird up. Acting is not it's not easy work. Filmmaking is not easy work. If you want to work a job where you're not working, go find something else, because acting is lonely, it is exhaustive, and if you're not in it for the right reasons, you are going to break the minute you get your big break, because you're not going to know what to do with yourself. You're going to want out, and you're going to self-sabotage. Got to know why you're doing this, because I say that to people, like, this is hard work, and it takes endurance, it takes persistence, and it takes grit. But for me, the thing that always stops me is I imagine quitting and then going to a movie theater. And I think that would drive me crazy. It's the trailers. It's the trailers. Like, when I go to a movie theater, I see myself in the trailer. Like, that's what gets me goosed. Not even the film, just being in the trailers leading up to the film. Like those really epic cinematic moments. And it's like, I couldn't sit in the theater and look at those trailers and say, I gave that up. I just couldn't. It would destroy me.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy how that logic also applies to, like, I would say majority of every department of any set, because that idea of just like, well, I'm not in this for money. I'm not in this for like, oh, well, I just got to get a like sweet payout, work on these big budget things. That's not realistic, and the people who do land on those big budget things, they're just ultimately lucky, and you will only see the consistent like 4 or 5, maybe 10, 15 of like the top actors, you know what I mean? And you see them recycled year after year after year, because they're the same people that go to the Oscars. They're the same people who go to all these places. And it applies to like even like department people too. Like I feel like as well, because so many times I talk to department heads. Like, I worked on a set not too long ago, and I worked with a new production designer who I never worked with. And he was like, man, like, I don't really have time to like work on like stupid like commercials just to like have it the sake of like, oh, I'm working, It's like, I'd rather do something that's a feature that I don't know is going to make me a lot of money. It won't. In fact, it'll probably make me way less money than anything. But the fact that like it's something I'm passionate about, it's cool. It's a monster movie, or I think like it was like some grindhouse horror film that he worked on. He's like, I chose that over like a Home Depot commercial. And I'm like, and that's how we met, was on a Home Depot commercial. And I was just like, that's crazy, because it's so true. It's just like, why waste your time on something that is just like, I mean, yeah, it gets me money. And yeah, that commercial, because that company is just bankrolling all these like creatives, which is nuts. Yeah, you're going to get a fat paycheck, but is it rewarding? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like you've made a maybe not a difference, but something, an impact in your life that you can feel like, I'm proud to have my name on those credits. You know what I mean? I'm proud to have like worked with these actors, because it's crazy. Like, as I work on more and more sets and the more creative things that I do, I feel myself making way more friends, especially with actors on big commercial sets, like on big, like even shorts too, that are like so many people, so many hands. I don't feel like I'm able to be talkative in like, get to know a lot of these people, because it feels like they all just come and go. When it's like in an independent shoot or like even a feature, I'm stuck with these fools for like a few weeks. You know what I mean? I'm here now, and I make the most awesome friends that I still talk to, You know what I mean? And one of which that Christine got me on my very first set. You know, it was just like, it's one of those things where things always are supposed to be fulfilling when you know they are fulfilling. Like you choose it because you know it's going to be rewarding in the end, not because of the sake of like, well, shit, man, I just want to get some cash. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
it's
And it's not, and
weird.
the thing is, like, there's time for everything. Like, hey, make that commercial money so that you can
Continue.
do your passion project, you know? So it's so when we
That
say
sucks
that,
too. Yeah.
yeah, it sucks too. But but I think about it, and I have had this conversation with people on set, being like, if I had more money right now, really the only thing I would change would be I would make a few more films.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I would literally be doing the same thing. Like I've thought about that. I'm like, if I had a shit ton of money right this second, like maybe I would travel a little bit more, but like honestly, I was like, I don't think my life would change that much more. I would maybe buy a camera or something, but
This
it
is
would
all we
literally
know.
yeah, this
yeah,
literally
when you're an actor,
yeah.
this is to be an actor of 11 years. It comes with 7,000 lift rides. I've taken 7,000 lift rides. It comes with driving to Belton every day when I don't have a job and shoveling mud out of a car wash drain pipe for my dad, or trimming tree branches down, or landscaping, or doing labor, heavy labor. Is like, it's not always going to be fulfilling, but I wouldn't be who I am without this journey. And I think just the amount of value that I've had in personal growth has been worth it alone. And like you said, like, the people you meet are some of the best people. They can be some of the worst people too.
Yes.
But there's
I met really bad people. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
But a lot of sweethearts, a lot of great people,
Yeah, it's just a beautiful industry, and it's, not everybody can live like a normal 9-to-5 life. And for
No.
those who can, like, I wish I were you.
Yeah.
I wish I were you. I can't. Like, and it means, it really does mean doing a lot of stuff you don't want to do. But, it's worth it. It's a journey full of plot twists and, unexpected victories and unexpected defeats. And you just never know. But what's the alternative?
Yeah. What's the alternative?
Dude.
That's a great way to take it for a landing. But I think the biggest thing from that is just, in the end, it's priorities, right? And sacrifice. And, I hear some people, in the moment will be like, man, I wish I could do what you do. And like, that seems so much fun and stuff like that. And and like, or I've heard like, oh, I could do that. And I don't doubt that. And I tell people, I'm like, you know what? Like, the actual work itself is not rocket science or anything.
Right.
But the issue is, what are you willing to sacrifice for this priority? And I think the people who make it in the industry, they have put in, so this is their priority, and they've sacrificed a lot to be able to make it their priority. So like you're saying, yeah, sometimes you have to go shovel some stuff or do it to earn that extra money for the the possibility of being able to continue to do what you do.
The flexibility for the
Yes.
possibility that may not come for months. And you're like, eyeing those 9-to-5s on Indeed. You're like, $80,000, $60,000 a
in
year.
that case,
that would be nice. And then every
Yeah.
time you go to apply, you catch yourself.
Yeah.
Then there's a social expectation of, am I a loser because I'm not where I need? And it's just, you've got to figure out what's important to you. You got to learn how to distinguish between
rinse and repeat. Ugh.
External influence and what's going to kill you, because that stuff will kill you if it's not for you.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I get it.
Wow.
I feel all of us, it would be unrealistic to say, oh, it's like when you do what you love, like it's all great, and like you never wait. No, I wake up so many times being like, why the did I do this to myself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why the fuck am I doing this? And then like then you take the 2-day break or whatever it is, and then you're like, well, what are we doing next?
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
God, like this 20-hour days, and you like just sitting there trying to be productive, but you just can't get off the couch. You're like, oh God,
Yeah.
all right, how much more do we have to pack out?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Well, I ask myself so many times, especially when it's an early call time, and I'm like up at like 4 or whatever. I'm like, why can't I like a 9 to 5? Why didn't I just do that? Like I could have. Like why? Why did I do this to myself?
There's
And I
an old
remember.
it was an old Bill Burr joke, but like he was just like comedy is just like if you're not waking up every single morning with existential dread, there's something wrong. You missed a step somewhere. Go back.
I heard it in his voice when you said it.
Yeah.
It was dual toned. I heard Bill Burr with you in synchronicity.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, we nailed it. It's been an hour, y'all. So I guess that's it. That's
I do have to give a shout out to Darren at Colored Lion because he's the reason I know Christine. I drove up and they were, I believe they were right across the street from Gus's Chicken. This was years ago. And I saw Darren say, "Hey Darren." And he said, "Hey, this is Christine. She's a filmmaker. Here, let me give you her card." And it was the Moth to Flame black card.
Nice.
And I took it and I was like, huh. And I met Darren on a paintball commercial doing cool stuff that when Darren was doing a lot of shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And man, talk about a beautiful person.
Oh my gosh. Darren and Christine are like my BFFs. They're basically my we're supposed to go camping this coming weekend actually.
You got to tell them I said hi.
Yes, I will. I met Darren in the line of South by Southwest in 2011, I think. And he was standing right in front of me, and we started to talk like, "Oh, what do you do?" He's like, "I'm a photographer." I'm like, "Oh, I'm a filmmaker." And then we were like one up each other, basically like, "Oh, you got that project? I got this project," and we were just like sharing,
trading Pokemon, basically.
Yeah, it was great. One of the things I think years later, he said, "You know that card that you gave me, I still have it." And he showed it to me, and I was just floored that he kept it. But it makes me really emotional because it's like he's like, it wasn't even I didn't have a Moth to Flame card. It was my business school card because I was going to business school at that time, going as an MBA, and I had crossed out my business school email that they give you, and I put I just started my website, my Moth to Flame website, and it was handwritten on there, and I couldn't believe that he had kept it because he like believed in me that much, and it's amazing to see like throughout the years where we've ended up, and I think in the end, the way we stay and stick in this industry during the hard times, it's people like Darren, people who are your friends, who are there to be like, "Hey, I'm coming to see your shitty movies."
That's a good friend.
Yeah, I'm coming to see your movie. I hope it's not shitty, but I'll tell it to your face if I think you can be better, type thing, or whatever, or like, "Hey, yeah, you have a couch to stay on," and I can't tell you how many times I go to their house and they're like, "To eat all the leftovers, please. We know you're poor." And just like, yeah, it's people. In the end, it's your network. It's who you surround yourself by, who will consistently remind you that you're not alone in it by yourself. Because this industry can be, when you're trying to make it to the top, it can be effing lonely, so lonely. And it's coming back and having people who give a shit about what you do, or you post something and someone's like, "Hey, I really liked what you wrote in that post." And you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't know anybody read that," or "I didn't know anybody bothered to go on our podcast," things like that. And those moments are the best.
You can, like, I think I'll look at actors that, they'll post something and then like 90 comments plus of support. And then you post something and it's got like 4 likes, but then you get that DM from somebody who's like, "Man, I can't believe," for me, that you know David Barrera, right?
Yes, I love
For
David.
me, that was.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
we
I've
almost
worked with
did
him
an
once.
Artist's Way together.
yes.
And then I ended up getting that feature in Houston I told you about, and then I had to dip out of it. But that was like that. Like I posted this demo that had been like so many years of work, and I was just so proud of it, and like no interaction at all. And I was like, well, shit. But David messaged me
man.
and he was like, dude, that was so incredible. I can't wait to see the pilot you guys did if it's anything like those first scenes. And I was like, all right, cool. Like somebody's with me. Artists will always know other artists. And so that's, like you said, it's nice, it's nice to have those little wayward wandering lights.
Yes.
Yeah.
The little moments. And it always comes when you need it. You don't realize it. And then you'll get a random email, a random thing being like, hey, I really like this film. You're like, that film was from like 6 years ago, but cool. Like, I can't believe someone's still watching it,
Isn't that weird? It's like you're a plant and you're being watered. It's just your time to be watered.
Yeah.
Somebody else can see it and they're just sprinkling a little love.
Yeah. So one more thing I think is, hey, we got to support. Part of the reason why we're doing this podcast series where we bring other people on is because like we got to support each other. We have to be there to try to uplift everybody else in the industry, because this is a fucking hard industry. If we're not supporting each other, like how do we expect other people to believe in us too? Right. So that's why we want to, shine a light on other cool filmmakers and actors and other people in this industry and stuff like that, because like we're in this together.
And all it takes is one. All it takes is one person in the group, and then we all lift each other up continuously. And I think I really do believe there's something magical. I see it in my classes. I see the abundance of talent. It feels like we're in this precipice of this huge bubble of talent that has been cultivated for over a decade that is about to pop and burst. And I really do feel like Austin is about to put itself on the map. Local talent, though, we don't need people from, we don't need the LA or the New York to give us any validity and our ability and what we can do.
No.
I really think the artists here are about to really define a period in American history. And that's what I'm holding on to and clinging to, because I see it and I see all the talent and I see all these people just in the sidelines, just waiting for one opportunity, because as soon as you get it, they're going to smash it out. And so I'm excited. I'm really optimistic for the future. I think there's a voice.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. That's all I can say is I'm excited to see it have life.
No, I agree. I think you're right. I think we're in the precipice of a new wave, because I was thinking about that the other day too. And like how many people I worked with who are just utterly talented, like talent wise for sure. And also department, like the new people I met along the way, just working on mundane commercials, It's a lot of talented ass people out there. So
so
local hires, everybody.
Yeah, stay humble, support each other, and find your people, and keep creating. No matter what, keep creating. Remember why you're doing it.
Remember why you're doing that. And also remember why that we also do this podcast, because it is a free podcast. It is free education. However, we also got bills to pay, ladies and gentlemen, and we are the Get Reelisms podcast. So pick up your Get Reelisms book today. GetReelisms.com, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be a sucker, okay? Get your film school in a book. Ty, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
No, thank you guys. Awesome. This is such a fun opportunity.
Yeah, super chill, like I said.
Yeah, no, I needed this. This was one of those watering moments. So thank you. I really do appreciate it, guys. It's, just being able to talk about it is enough to rejuvenate any type of fatigue that might be there.
Yeah.
A reminder while we're in this crazy ass industry of ours.
That's right. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Facebook. Thank you so much, Instagram. We love you. We're going to go now. Thank you so much. So goodbye.
Bye.
Adios.
Appreciate you.